And my question is in relation with prophecies, dreams, and visions. Let's say I'm a young guy, I want to marry, and I've started praying about it, fasting about it, and the Lord has given me a vision that this is the person that you need to marry. You don't have to step aside. This is the one. I am the Lord. This is the one. And this thing has happened consistent. Anytime you go and pray, oh, it is Akushia Mansa. It is Akushia Mansa. You go into a prophetic program. Prophet too has also said you are supposed to marry Akushia Mansa. And you later proceeded. You went to Akushia Mansa and you want to establish a relationship with her. But the lady is not interested. And she doesn't even give a damn about whether you have a dream or a prophet or whatever. She doesn't even care about it. So such a person, what should such a person do? This is the question I want to ask. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question. What I would say is that there are different things that may come into play when it comes to prophecies in connection with relationships or even prophecies in general. That is, if what you are seeing is from God, maybe the dream you had, if it came from God or the prophecy was true. Where it is true, where the dreams or the visions came from God, we still have to consider a few things, because prophecy can be time bound, prophecy can be condition or circumstance bound, it can be obedient bound. When Samuel went to Saul, before Saul was dethroned from his kingship, he said that God had decided to establish your kingdom forever. But he said because of what he did, now God has taken the kingdom from your hands. Now, it was Samuel that anointed Saul as king. And God was the one who chose Saul. It wasn't Samuel who chose Saul. It was God who came to Samuel and said, I have sent a gentleman to come to you. So it means that truly, God can probably speak to you about somebody, whereas probably the person might not even be aware of the situation. It was God who chose Saul. So first thing you need to understand is that truly God can choose. God can tell you that, okay, this person is good for you or that person is better for you. I know there has been the ideology that people have had. People have had the notion that from the time that Adam said, the woman that you gave me, God has stopped recommending people or telling people about husbands and wives. But I don't believe that, because even afterwards, we know that Rebecca was selected by God. When Abraham sent the servant, when he went and he prayed and he said that, God of my master Abraham, help me to choose the right wife for Isaac. And then he prayed and said that the one that will come, that when I ask her that, give me some water to drink, and then she will say that I will not only give you water to drink, but I will fetch some for your camels. Let it be that person. And when Rebecca came, it was exactly what he prayed and asked God for. As much as we are not going to say we are depending on all of those things before we choose a wife, we also have to understand that those are possibilities in God. God can show a man, if you depend on him, depending on your relationship with him, how far you've gone with him, how you've submitted your will to him, he's going to recommend. I mean, even we as natural fathers and natural leaders, we sometimes love to recommend because we see that this person is good or that person is better. So it's possible that you can have such a situation where in a vision or in a prophecy or in a dream, God can have that recommendation. But we have to understand that, like I said, it can be time bound, it can be condition bound. It is not like that is the final thing. Are you getting it? It can change. So if there's a prophecy and then you go and the person is not yielding, I would suggest that maybe you go back to God in prayer. And if God speaks to you and tells you that still go ahead, you can go ahead. But if you receive another message that you can move on, you just have to move on. Sometimes people want to stay because there was a prophecy. It could have changed. It is God who anointed Saul. It is the same God that sent Samuel to take the kingdom from Saul and to anoint David, because a change happened. Saul had fallen away after the prophecy. Men can depart from God. Different kings were anointed by God and then they went astray and God rejected them. So the same person that was chosen by God can be rejected by the same God. Let me share my story with you. It's an experience that I had at a time about when I wanted to get married. There was a lady, let's say that Lady A. There was a lady that she was the first person that really believed in me. She could tell me things about how I'm going to be great and all of that. And when I even talk in a particular way, she would be like, I shouldn't talk like this, because when I become influential, people are going to look up to me. And those days when she used to tell me those things, I was thinking, what are you talking about? And I became close to her for some time. And she was like a spiritual mother or a godmother kind of a person to me. But then we were close. And in the closeness, I remember that my friend who was a prophet prophesied to me and told me that I'm seeing a heart that is boiling for you. He didn't know the lady. But when he prophesied, I was like, when I look at myself at that time, you are even better. When I look at myself, I was like some kind of, if I show you my pictures. So I told him that, I don't believe that. There's no heart that. And then he went ahead and mentioned the name of the lady. He mentioned the name of the lady, that this lady's heart is burning for you. And because I knew the lady, that this is the lady, she's in my life. So I know it cannot be a lie. But I was close to her for some time. Sometimes she called me, I'll come around, maybe she'll go and buy food for me and all of that, because I was also like a spiritual son and I was broke. So she'll go and buy food for me and all of that. But at the point, it's like there was some kind of development that was taking place subtly. There was no relationship, but I could test her using keypad phones. We'll be testing and all of that for some time. Then, whilst that was building up, I had a dream. When I had a dream, I saw one of our top men of God in Ghana. It was Bishop Dag Moss, actually. I just saw him in the dream, and in the dream, when I saw him, he now mentioned the name of this lady that I've become close to, and said that I don't have to continue or try to engage anything in connection with her in the area of relationship or marriage, because this lady. Now, this was the dream I had. So I'm telling you, it's not like I'm saying something about her or against her, no, but it was the dream. So he said that this lady, when I go there, I'm going to have some conflict and other things with her, because first of all, she was already treating me like a son. So in the marriage, maybe I might end up still being like a son, because she used to command me and do this. Ben, don't do that. Ben, you don't have to act this way. I was even saying earlier. She said, I don't talk like this. What do you talk like this? So she was already my correction fluid. Correcting me already. So it was like there will be that kind of conflict that will come and all of that. And then he now said that even in the later times, he sees that he might have some demonic issue, some attack that will come that can affect my ministry and my life. And then he now mentioned another lady that I knew, but then I had no emotional connection. My mind was not even on her. He now mentioned the name of that lady and said that consider this person, you should rather consider this other person. And then when he mentioned the name of that lady, I just don't want to mention the name. So when he called the name of that lady in the dream, it was also like a vision in the dream. So then it was like a projector that was projected like a vision. So I saw the lady walking. I know exactly where she was walking on the campus. So I just saw her that she was just walking, going about her. But then, remember her name was called, she was projected in the. So I had a vision in the dream about her, and I saw her. And I know her because she was closer to me too in the way, but then not. She was like one of my leaders. I saw that, then I woke up. So when I woke up, I decided, okay, since this is what I have had, and I had a friend who is a seer, and I just spoke with him about it, and he being a prophet, he confirmed and was like, oh, this second lady, the first one is true, it's going to be good, but then there might be one or two hitches here and there, but then the second one, she's going to be a pillar in your ministry. And I believe she was going to be a pillar because around that time, along that line, she was financially really sponsoring us. We used to preach on the radio, and then she could pay for the radio, especially she didn't know she was paying, but when she gives us, she will be like, God has instructed her that she should be giving us this money this season. At that time, maybe we are on vacation, and we do, because when we vacate, we don't have activity, so we don't have funds for the radio. So that instruction that she receives will be the money that we'll be using to pay for the radio at that time. And I brought her around a couple of times to also preach. So this, my friend who is a prophet now, said this person, he had not seen the person before, but I said that this person is going to be a pillar. He sees that she's going to be a pillar in your ministry, and a lot of very positive prophetic messages, from him. So I decided, okay, then let me just approach this one. So I started to maybe test her a message. Maybe I would just be like, oh, how are you? I really admire your service to the kingdom and all of that. You are like a morning star. You shine like a morning star. When I see your life and your commitment to the kingdom and to the work of God, we feel inspired to do more for God. You are an inspiration. So maybe I'll just... So she called me one of the days. She's a very good person. She's a very wonderful person, a very good person. Okay. Then she called me one of the days that she wanted to speak to me. So I went. She was ahead of me 1 year. Okay, she was ahead of me, and then she was, like I said, she was also a leader, like my cell leader or something like that. So she called me, and she was like, she's been receiving these messages from me for some days or for a while now. What is my intention? And I said, there's no intention. So I said that there's no intention. I'm just, we are brothers and sisters in Christ. You get it? So she was like, no, Ben, we are not kids. She used to call me Ben. So she's like, we are not kids and all of that. So when she put a little pressure, and I was like, okay, it is what it is. I did check you. I like you. And then she was like, okay, fine. Have you prayed about it? And I said, yeah, I have prayed about it. Then she was like, okay, when you prayed, what did God say? And I said, God has confirmed to me that I should come forward. And I have a friend, and I also have a friend who is also a prophet, who has also confirmed that what I saw is genuine and I should come forward. And she said, okay, she wants to know exactly what God said. And I said, I don't want to spiritualize this thing. I just like you, and I've had a confirmation that I could come forward. But she insisted that she wants to know exactly what God told me. So I said, okay, this is the dream I had. And when I had a dream, my friend who is also a prophet also said a few things about, this or that. And then she was like, okay, so God spoke to you. When God also speaks to her, those days they had these messages going on around that. If especially in the area of relationship, because sometimes people abuse, and people just go randomly, and then they'll be like, God spoke to me. So they normally preach, and they'll be like, if someone told me that God spoke to him or her, tell the person that God has not spoken to you, which I believe is wrong though. Yeah, because it might not be in every case. I don't support that idea, because we know there's nowhere in the Bible that the Bible said God spoke to Elisha when God spoke to Elijah. And I don't think that the disciples of Jesus, God spoke to them. This was Jesus who came and chose them. So it depends on who the person is. If you don't like the person, fair enough. It's not by force. Even when God has spoken, it's not by force. But then don't say maybe unless God speaks to me, because sometimes God will not speak to you. He may speak to Abraham and never speak to Lot. You get it? So it depends on who the person is. Anyway, so when she said that God has not spoken to her, then the conversation ended over there. And I left. She left, so I also left. And then we were meeting here and there. And then I tried to still text message and try to reach out to her and all of that. But then whenever I tried, she would sometimes call me and then fire everywhere. It's understandable. We were not like who we are today. You get it? We were some kind of guys. If you see us try, you will not believe that we will become anything. So she should not blast me like blast me. Like I said, she's a very good person. And even up to today, we are cool. We talk sometimes. Because she was like a sister to me before. Yeah, so she not like blast. She'll be like, then, I've told you to stop talking to me about this thing and stop calling me and all of that. So one day when the whole thing I was fed up a little. So I prayed. She wasn't calling me. She was not calling me. But then I prayed that day and I told God that I was in Casford then. So when I got to the hall, and then before I was going to lie down, so I prayed. And I said that if it is God, if it is you that want me to show me all this and then you want me to continue to pursue this girl, because I wanted to just leave it, because truth is she was not part of my plan from the beginning. Prior to that vision, I had only seen her as a God-fearing woman and all of that, but my mind was not even there at all. So I was like, if it is you that showed me all this thing, and then because of that I changed my direction and then I'm facing all these frustrations, then let her call me today. Let her call me. But if it is not you and you want me to stop, then let her not call me. So I prayed that prayer, and then I put my phone down, and then the moment I tried to lie down on the bed, my phone started vibrating. I was using some keypad those days. It started vibrating and I checked. When I checked, it was her. This is somebody who doesn't call me. And then after I made that prayer, she called me. When she called me, she asked me, hello. I didn't even know how to pick it, but I picked it. And she's like, hello, Ben. And I said, hello. Then she was like, how are you? I said, I'm fine. Then she said, do you know where Zoom Lion is? Where Zoom Lion's office is located in Cape Coast? As at that time, I didn't know anything about Zoom Lion. I didn't know where they are. I've heard their name. So I said, I don't know. And then she was like, okay, that's fine. So I was like, well, should I find out for you? And she said, no, she will ask someone else. So she spoke to me nicely and then we just hung up. But that was the answer to the prayer I prayed. And I don't think it was coincidental. I still tried, but then still it was to no avail. There was a day that I had a dream. My friend who was also like, he was close to me. He was also a man of God. He was an evangelist. He also had the same dream. So he came from the top to tell me, because he knew I was pursuing the lady. So he came to tell me that this is the dream I had. So when he came, then I was telling him that I had this dream. And then he said that is the same dream he had. That's why he was coming. And the dream was suggesting that she's supposed to be the one, in quotes. There's not definitely like the one, but then there's the one for a season, the one for a time. Okay, depending on what God is doing at any time and all of that. So like the dream is suggesting that she's supposed to be the one. And as we spoke, and he encouraged me that, I shouldn't give up and all of that. I should continue. So I tried to continue. And when I tried to continue, still, she was tough. It wasn't going. You tried to reach her. She give you excuses and all of that. And I remember that one day I had a dream. So in the dream, when I had that dream, in the dream I saw myself, the first lady that I was close to. In the dream, I saw her first. And when I saw her, she was going somewhere like that. The road is like, it did a T-junction. So she was using this side. And I was also coming from behind and trying to cross. And she was with a gentleman. That gentleman was with the lady physically. Even when I was close to that lady, sometimes we meet that gentleman. It's like they were having some kind of relationship, but then not really active. So in the dream, I saw that she had held the guy, and then they were walking. And then she was calling me that Ben. She was like, Ben dear. She normally calls me Ben dear, come. So when I saw it, and I was like, you are already with somebody, so why are you calling me? And then she was still calling, but then I was like, oh, but you are already with someone, so why are you calling me? And then I continued, and she was also looking at me once she kept going with the other gentleman. And later they almost had a relationship, that same guy. So when I continued, then it was, dreams are funny. So the moment I was trying to continue, then I just saw myself that I'm in a place like a house with the lady I'm talking about now, the one that should be the one. She was there washing bowls. She had 4 bowls that she was washing. So she had washed 3 of the bowls and rinsed them, and then the 4th one was in her hands. Then I saw myself there. So I told her that she should come so that we go. And then she said no, she want to wash the bowl. When she finished, I should wait for her. When she finishes, then we go. So I was like, no, she should just leave it and let's go. And then I remember that there was even an old woman there, or an old man with gray hair. She was also like, why don't I wait for her to finish washing the bowl so that we go? And I said, I'm not ready to wait. I mean, if she will not come, I'm leaving her there. So she was like, I should just wait. She will finish. She's already washed 3. She will finish the 4th one, then we go. Then I left. But physically, she told me that for her, she had told God that unless she completes, when I was pursuing her, like trying to, make an impression and all of that, and she was like, for her, she has told God that unless she completes school, she's not going to go out or going to be in any relationship. And she was in 400 at that time. She was done with 300. I started pursuing her when she was in 300. I was in 200. So when she moved to 400 and I came to 300, and then she made that statement. So in the dream, I didn't understand it at that time. The dream was suggesting that probably I should wait for her to finish. Right? Maybe that was the meaning of the dream. But at that time, I didn't understand. That time when I saw that scene, and then the next when I said I cannot wait and I left. The next thing I saw my wife. She was our secretary in our small prayer group. She was the secretary. Truth is, I didn't have any intention for her. I was seeing her as somebody who needs more fire. Because that time my mind is that we need somebody who is bonfire. Not someone who's praying in tongues. No, we want somebody who So she was not part of my plan. The next scene. So there were 3 scenes in the dream. The 3rd scene was my wife. And then I told her that, I want to marry and all of that. Is she interested? And she said, oh, she doesn't have a problem because God told her that she should marry a man for his spirituality and his sexuality. I don't understand what that means. I just had it in the dream. So I woke up from there. So when I woke up, I took it to mean that, okay, she's the one that is ready. But I didn't proceed. I left it. I left it. So one Sunday, I went to church. And when I closed from church in town, because we were having fellowship, then I had to still go to church. So I went to church. When I closed from church, I said, let me call the lady and see how it's going to go. So when I called, then Master, that one day, she really gave it to me. She was like, she had told me different things. She was like, do I even know what she want to become? Maybe she felt like I should take some time and wait and hang around and get to know her. I think probably that's how she felt. I don't even know what she do. She has not even told me that she want to become a woman of God and all of that. Why am I troubling her and all of that? Virtually what she was saying, I don't remember the exact words, but it really entered me. Yeah, I think she was trying to say that I'm disturbing her and all of that. I shouldn't call her again and all of that. So when that call ended, and I prayed over there, and I told Baba God that I was my somewhere, and you came to show me something. And what he showed me, I'm trying to move, but it's not moving. So let's leave it. So I came to sleep. I'm like Joseph. That's a powerful season. When I slept, then I saw that we were in church. In fact, it is now that I realize that the church is exactly like this place. It's just like this place. See the way we have these 2 lines when we arrange the chairs. It's just, I think this is the place. I'm now, like, if I recall, and if it was facing, it's just like this, because I was standing facing this way. It's prophetic. So we were in church and I was preaching and she was wearing white, sitting in front, like maybe a pastor's wife or a woman of God, whatever. And when I preached, I walked through the aisle to maybe preach to the back. I don't normally do that, but sometimes I do. So I walked to the back a little, maybe to the middle, or going to the, trying to preach and looking at people's faces. So when I turned, then I saw her, that she had stood up and then she was coming, and she had it's not a face of someone who is angry. I don't know whether it's someone who is sad. If not sad, maybe somebody who's like a face that is dropped. Not really sad, but then a little moody and not melancholic. Melancholy. A melancholic outlook. Like a sad appearance, someone who is like sad or depressed or not happy or something like that. Then, so when I turned, then I saw her that she was coming from behind. She had stood up from the front and coming. So when she looked at me, she just said, "Ben, I am going." So when she said, "Ben, I'm going," and I was like, okay. So she passed me like she was going. Then I walked through the aisle to the front. So when I turned and I saw that she was wearing, it was a white dress that was on her. So when I turned, I found out that the white dress that was on her is like, I don't want to say had been removed, but it wasn't on her anymore. It had become like a multicolored dress or some kind of dress, like maybe some different color. And then she was going. Then, so when I looked again, I found out that the dress had been put on my wife. And then she was coming, and she came and sat at where she was sitting, or supposed to sit. So when I woke up from that vision, then I knew that, okay, I came by vision. So I have to go by. When I woke up from that dream, I did 1 or 2 consultations here and there. And then I went ahead and proposed to my wife. And to know that it was the will of God, she was also lingering and doing all of. So there was a day I told God that I prayed and I said that if I go today and she doesn't say yes, I am out. She didn't know, but that day when I went, she said yes. Because I always go and she'll be like, she's still thinking about it several times. So that day I said that if I go today and she doesn't say yes, I'm never coming back there again. I move to the next one. So the point is that, and I married my wife and I'm here enjoying my life. You get it? Now the point is this. Does it mean that maybe the visions were wrong? No, certainly they were not wrong. It's the same, different things I was seeing that even brought me to, marrying my wife. So it is God, but it's subject to the will of man. When there's a prophecy, when there are visions, when there are prophetic messages, it is subject to the will of those who are involved. If they are not willing, God can change it. Okay, God can choose someone else. So you don't stick to it. If the person is not willing, you don't force it. You linger for some time. He said if they reject you in this city, even the gospel, he said move to another. This is where when you are not married. When you are married, it's a different ballgame. But when you are not married or you are trying to go and then the person doesn't seem to see in the same light, it is you God showed. And maybe it is even meant for your own good. That's why he showed you. Maybe they might not even understand it. So if it's not going, you leave it and then you move on. I don't know if you get it. Yeah.